Well, hello, retail traders. How you doing? This is a Sneaky Snake trading strategy, and I'm going to bring you two Pacific tickers that I want to talk about today. And the first one is going to be one of my favorites, the Boeing. I've really been bullish on this company from just reading headline after headline for months about all the new orders and all the other expansion that they're doing. And I just asked a question. I say, how can they get all these planes out? And now they had a big old catalyst today that really, I think, made it jump. And that's Boeing is rising again as travel rebounds and lifts aviation stocks. So we're sitting here and we're watching all these airlines going up. It was alerted in the room by one of our traders, Dube, and then all of a sudden Boeing, I got to reading the headlines on it. Man, travel, everybody's pumping up the travel. So we're going to take you to the chart. Now this chart's very interesting to look at. Yesterday I talked about the weekly 200 SMA, and I said we were getting ready to maybe break out of this here pattern from yesterday, because it's a really nice spinning top. It's a fat bodied spinning top, and it jumped up and hit that 200 SMA and kind of just struggled trying to break above it. And then I would let the room know, I said, I bet you we come out with a hammer or something tomorrow above that 200 SMA. And by gosh, we woke up the next morning. She broke past that 200 on the weekly. And then the resistance levels that I'm going to talk about in here, I'm going to clean them up real fast and show you how I found them. The support levels and the resistance levels. So the first thing I want to do is take and draw a body or draw a trend line in between this here body of this candle that happened today and the top of that candle that happened yesterday. And I'm going to draw a trend line right there and call that support for tomorrow at 213.85. I definitely want to see that hold. And then we've also got to look at, I don't know what that's coming from. We want to go ahead and put a resistance line tomorrow to break at 218.32. So that's the channel, but I would call a spread. We're going to go to the 20-day 1 hour. Now this 20-day 1 hour, I've seen a pattern in here that I also want to talk about. And that's called the expansion blowhorn pattern. So I'm going to take a price line or trend line. And I'm going to draw this from right here to that candle right there to that candle right there. And extend that to the right. So that runs right into this resistance of 218.32 that I had today, that I had on that body of that daily or that weekly candle. I'm going to take this other trend line from the bottom right here and navigate it to that next body candle right there and expand that to the right. That runs right into this here's other support line that I have at 209.17. So what we got here, if this thing comes down and pulls back, I'm going to try to get in this trade right around 208.73, right on that trend line, that price line. I've got my alert set for 209.17 just in case it stops, and that's a pretty good solid spot right there. So I've got a double confirmation of the trend line, and I've got this here pivot point area right in here. Now I could bring that down just a little bit, but I'm going to keep this channel in here for the strong buy territory. First, second, and third support. Now the resistance to break. So this is an expansion pattern which you can start to play inside of the channel and move on way up to the right and keep a higher lows and higher highs. Now if we break out of the double top tomorrow at 2020, I'm going to go ahead and put a price trend line there, which I have to go over here to do it now. At 2020, 2019.76, and I want to pull up the yearly. And I'm going to pull up that 3-year again because I think we broke the yearly high. Where are you going? Right there. So we broke the yearly high The next resistance is going to be this channel resistance right up in here. You got a triple top. So we're going to magnify that up. And I want to put a price line where I think the equilibrium is to that triple top. 1, 2, and 3. And that 226 is going to be our resistance. So we got a support to hold. We'll go back to the 20-day 1 hour. We've got a support to hold at 209.17. First support right here at 215.07. So if that comes down and hits that double top, break. This is a double top break. Okay? So it can easily pull down to that double top break and then bounce back up and break the 220 and move on up to a higher level. So keep that in mind. I think we pretty much are going to try to hold that 215 area. But if not, you've got these other two with a strong buy no lower than that 209.17. And if it does have some drama, it's a very strong buy at 206.50. I hope that didn't confuse anybody. The next one I want to talk about is going to be Tesla. Tesla had a big catalyst today. Everybody probably already heard. General Motors is going to work with Tesla with the charging stations. That's a huge catalyst for both General Motors and Tesla. So I'd be looking at sympathy plays. Ford, General Motors, and Tesla. Those are my top three. And I don't believe I said General Motors is my top three, which I'm not a General Motors fan, but you have to not be so biased when the news is good. So we're going to look at the General Motors chart. I mean, not the General Motors, but the Tesla chart. We've been all over Tesla in the room and everything else. We're going to clean this up, start fresh. I like to keep things clean and fresh. This has been one heck of a run. We've been bullish on it every day. Every day. If you go back to where we called it out at 115, I mean, this was a great call in the room. We said, man, this thing can't go much lower than $100. And then we run up and hit that 200, and I've been channeling it ever since. Now, this is a bull flag. If you're ever curious about wanting to swing trade something, I want you to check this out. So that's what you call a bull flag. When it comes up like this, and then it goes down like that, that's a complete bull flag. And I think I can show you the diagram. Where are you? Give me just a second here. That looks so different. There we go. So when you got it, when you're moving up and then you start to go down like this, many new traders think that that's bearish. Actually, that's very bullish. And you can play within that channel and add on to whatever you have, your inventory on your shares, or you can scalp it within that channel. Same thing as if you were at the top, and you see a lot of traders think that that's bullish and it's actually bearish. You will get a knife. Most cases, not always, but most cases. I mean, news can come in and turn it around. But right now we're looking at a bull flag. That's what this is right here. It's a bull flag. And we've had a nice little breakout. So we got to look for the next resistance level. And usually I like to go to the previous high. So I'm going to take and draw a trend line right off this here candle right here. That's going to be my resistance. And look where we landed. I didn't even look over to the side, okay? I just now did. Now there's two things that you got to look at this chart. One, I see an ascending triangle. Two, I see a double top. So I'm going to color in the ascending triangle. And I'm just going to run the trend line all the way across. That's 250.616 is the resistance that we called in the room. 250.16. Now that's a pivot point. where we closed today at this double top. Now this here is an ascending triangle. That's what you call an ascending triangle. So I'm going to tell you how to predict the next move. What's going to happen is we might pull back and hit this moving average. Now this moving average is a 300 SMA. So I'm going to set an alert right off at 300 SMA. I'm going to put it at below on the mark. So I've got my alert set for 222.53 at the lowest possible support that it can go to. The lowest possible support. I've got resistance to break at 234.04. And if that breaks and we start to build momentum above that support line or that resistance line, that will now become support. And the next resistance will be that 250.16. Now, if you look what happened here after hours, we broke out from that 234.04. I'm going to pull up the 20-day. The next resistance is that 250.16, and the support, I would set an alert right above that trend line. Right there at 234.91 to catch at 234.04. Now, if it breaks the 250, this is what I'm really excited about. The momentum is very strong right now. Very strong. They're going to be hard for CNBC to badmouth what's going on. The fact that they're involved with General Motors. They're going to stop backing off bashing Elon. So this could be a major catalyst for this stock to really fly. Now I've got 250. I'm going to pull up the 3-year chart. I want to look at the weekly time frame and see anything in here that's out of the ordinary. What I see right now is some gaps. Real hard sell-off, probably about the time he bought Twitter. So my next resistance is that 250 area. And if we get past that, I'm going to run it all the way up to the next resistance. Do you have any idea where that is? It's right here. I'm going to put a price line in here. I don't think I can do that. I've got to go over here. Right there will be the next resistance. If it breaks, that's right around under 300 bucks. Now, there's going to be a pivot point area in between that, and I'm going to look into the gaps in here, and I think it's going to be right there. $278. So this is my prediction. If we break the 250, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that common denominator of 275. And if we can break that 275 at 278 and then 293, and that's where I'd probably start buying a put and run it back down to this channel. There's another thing I see on here, this chart right now, that I want to draw in. That's this trend line right here. We're going to extend that down to the right. So that's another catalyst that this thing's going to be hard to, well, yeah, that's going to be a solid support from here on out if we break past that trend line from these here highs. If we break past that trend line and that now becomes support, we will go to 292. No doubt in my mind. And we're about ready to break that resistance. And I think we did. 240.92. So we broke that. Yep, right there. This is real strong catalyst. I'm going to go ahead and keep my alert at 234.91. And then I want you to do this. Follow that 200 on the 1 hour time frame, and that could be your next support level. No, never mind, that's the 1 minute. I mean the 1 minute tomorrow. If it holds the 200, I'm gonna look at that 1 hour one more time. Yeah, that's just way too far down. See, we got another ascending triangle right here, but I just think it's too damn low, and that's where the 200 is. If anything happens, and we have a huge knife, it's going to stop right there at 203.81. But I can't see that happening right now, not with the momentum behind this and getting involved with General Motors. And was it Ford? Also had a deal with them just a couple weeks ago. So let's break the 250, 275, and 292. And if not, we're going to hold these moving averages in place. And I think 222.53 will be the lowest support to keep the momentum going. You could get a complete sell-off, and then they'll buy the dip. That's Tesla. Hope I didn't confuse you on that one either. But it's really had a great run, and we just got to break that 250 to see what happens. That's my real hard resistance, and I know what the fat cats are looking at that number too, and there'll probably be some scaling out, but who knows? We'll find out tomorrow. It is Friday, so next week we got CCI and the CPI coming out, so we should see some volatility. Just keep a good eye on Boeing and Tesla right now. They're on top of my watch list. Have a great day, retail traders.